Hey nerds, and welcome to Supergirl, Theories and Conspiracies. I'm your host Brian from Good Nerd Bad Nerd. This week we came back after a 1-week break, and we got a lot of stuff. We got a lot of John Jones really starting to use his powers, despite something in his past that he was tragic and he swore he'd never do again. We had Wynn finally stepping up and, looking out for himself. His father kind of pushed him to that. Seeing kind of a parallels between what his father did when he snapped and wasn't able to deal with how he was feeling and what he wanted in his emotions. And so Wynn finally taking charge of who he is and what he wants. It's, a pretty big step for him, and that's a, nice character development. I think he's actually developing better than Jimmy is, because I think Jimmy's whole thing, it was really confusing, and they're giving a really weird signal, and if he really does like Lucy, it's hard to say. But all of that was great, but we had the Toyman in this episode, who is a fantastic character, a lot of history with Cat Grant and the characters here, a lot of history with Jimmy Olsen. So, he's the big character of the episode, so let's talk about him. So he's a very close adaptation to the character in the comics. Originally, Winslow Schlatt, his company was bought by LexCorp, and he got angry and mad when Lex Luthor decided to use all of his tech and inventions for military purposes. So there was that's the difference there. They weren't stolen in the comics by another company, but they were bought out and then used in a way he didn't like. So that's why he became Toyman originally in the comics. Now, there's a lot of little shout outs to other versions of the Toyman throughout this episode. The doll that he leaves for his son, that is a reference to the Jack B. Nimble character. Jack Nimble, which is a reference to Jack B. Nimble. But, and that's the one that if you've ever seen the original Justice League cartoons, that's the Toyman that you see there. So that's what that doll was. We also saw some versions to the Toyman that you see in the Superman animated series, the one that he was always talking through. That was kind of really kind of creepy one that probably gave people some nightmares. That one's a shout out to the Superman animated series. It did make appearances in the comic as well. I know I've talked about Toyman before, but just in case you didn't see that episode or you're not familiar with who he is and his connection to specifically, like I said, Cat Grant, at one point he kidnaps a bunch of kids and he kills them. And one of the kids that he kidnaps is Cat Grant's son, and we've met her son, so there's that. But after all that, Superman does arrest him, and Cat has a really strong and deep struggle with if she's going to try and kill Toyman. She finally decides she isn't going to, but she needs to know why. She needs to know why he would do such a thing to children, who allegedly are the people he likes most. So months later, after he's been captured, Cat goes to jail, to the prison, to talk to him. Supergirl goes with him, and she confronts him, and he explains this whole convoluted thing about a toy company licensed his image to make a toy, and he thought this was great because kids would finally get to play with him and he would bring them joy that he had been wanting to for his entire life. Well, the problem is kids didn't like his character. He looked like a scary clown to them, and none of them sold, and he felt rejected, and it just, for a crazy person, that just pushed him even further. So that's what's going on there. But it gets even more twisted because later on, he kidnaps Jimmy Olsen, and he wants Jimmy Olsen to write a story on him, basically saying that it was never him, but it was his robots. His robots took on life of their own, and they were the ones that were committing the murders. They were the ones doing all of the breaking the rules, breaking the laws, all of this stuff. So there's a nice relationship that Toyman actually has with everyone in Superman and Supergirl's circle. So we haven't seen the last of him. He's in jail. We know he's not dead. It's nice when they have a character like this that they don't kill because they can come back. Obviously, a lot of people are going to see parallels between him and the Trickster and the Joker. They are all very similar with slight variations, but Toyman I think works great. I loved the dynamic with his son, and it's really going to be interesting to see how they use him in the future. So great episode all around. Loved that scene with John and Kara flying at the beginning. Biggest mistake or thing that just baffled me this entire episode though was the purse cam that Maxwell Lord had snuck onto Alex's purse. Mainly because and I could be wrong, forgive me if I'm wrong, but my wife never uses her nice going out purse for day-to-day stuff, so there's no chance that she didn't, in all the time that passed, that she was using the same purse. That could just be me, but I think they needed something to happen. They needed Maxwell Lord to show he was one step ahead of Alex, and I think it was kind of lazy writing, but what do you guys think? What do you think of the episode? What did you think of Toyman? What did you think of everything that Martian Manhunter, John, Hank, whatever we want to call him? What do you think about how he used his powers and how extreme it was? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to check out the other Theories videos this week. We have Flash is back this week, Agent Carter started this week, and of course I have the Agent Carter after show on the Stream TV. So check all that out and let me know your thoughts on the episode and all those other shows. So until next week, this has been Brian from Good Nerd Bad Nerd, and this has been Supergirl, Theories and Conspiracies.